You heard it for the first time at Marseille, 23 years ago, the day of your marriage with Mademoiselle de Saint-Méran. Refer to your papers. You are not Busoni? You are not Monte Cristo? Oh, heavens, you are, then, some secret, implacable, and mortal enemy. I must have wronged you in some way at Marseille. Oh, woe to me! Yes, you are now on the right path, said the Count, crossing his arms over his broad chest. Search, search. But what have I done to you? Exclaimed Villefort, whose mind was balancing between reason and insanity, in that cloud which is neither a dream nor reality. What have I done to you? Tell me, then. Speak. You condemned me to a horrible, tedious death, you killed my father, you deprived me of liberty, of love, and happiness. Who are you, then? Who are you? I am the spectre of a wretch you buried in the dungeons of the Château d'If. God gave that spectre the form of the Count of Monte Cristo when he at length issued from his tomb, enriched him with gold and diamonds, and led him to you. Ah, I recognize you, exclaimed the king's attorney, you are. I am Edmond Dantes. You are Edmond Dantes, cried Villefort, seizing the Count by the wrist, then come here. And up the stairs he dragged Monte Cristo, who, ignorant of what had happened, followed him in astonishment, foreseeing some new catastrophe. There, Edmond Dantes, he said, pointing to the bodies of his wife and child, see, are you well avenged? Monte Cristo became pale at this horrible sight. He felt that he had passed beyond the bounds of vengeance, and that he could no longer say. God is for and with me. With an expression of indescribable anguish he threw himself upon the body of the child, reopened its eyes, felt its pulse, and then rushed with him into Valentine's room, of which he double-locked the door. My child, cried Villefort, he carries away the body of my child. Oh, curses, woe, death to you! And he tried to follow Monte Cristo, but as though in a dream he was transfixed to the spot, his eyes glared as though they were starting through the sockets, he griped the flesh on his chest until his nails were stained with blood, the veins of his temples swelled and boiled as though they would burst their narrow boundary, and deluge his brain with living fire. This lasted several minutes, until the frightful overturn of reason was accomplished. Then, uttering a loud cry followed by a burst of laughter, he rushed down the stairs. A quarter of an hour afterwards the door of Valentine's room opened, and Monte Cristo reappeared. Pale, with a dull eye and heavy heart, all the noble features of that face, usually so calm and serene, were overcast by grief. In his arms he held the child, whom no skill had been able to recall to life. Bending on one knee, he placed it reverently by the side of its mother, with its head upon her breast. Then, rising, he went out, and meeting a servant on the stairs, he asked, "Where is M. de Villefort?" The servant, instead of answering, pointed to the garden. Monte Cristo ran down the steps, and advancing towards the spot designated beheld Villefort, encircled by his servants, with a spade in his hand, and digging the earth with fury. "It is not here!" he cried. "It is not here!" And then he moved farther on, and began again to dig. Monte Cristo approached him, and said in a low voice, with an expression almost humble, "Sir, you have indeed lost a son, but—" Villefort interrupted him, he had neither listened nor heard. "Oh, I will find it," he cried. "You may pretend he is not here, but I will find him, though I dig forever." Monte Cristo drew back in horror. "Oh," he said, "he is mad." And as though he feared that the walls of the accursed house would crumble around him, he rushed into the street, for the first time doubting whether he had the right to do as he had done. "Oh, enough of this, he cried, "let me save the last." On entering his house, he met Morel, who wandered about like a ghost awaiting the heavenly mandate for return to the tomb. "Prepare yourself, Maximilian," he said with a smile, "we leave Paris tomorrow." "Have you nothing more to do there?" asked Morel. "No," replied Monte Cristo, "God grant I may not have done too much already." The next day they indeed left, accompanied only by Baptistin. Haydée had taken away Ali, and Bertuccio remained with Noirtier. Chapter 112. The Departure. The recent event formed the theme of conversation throughout all Paris. Emmanuel and his wife conversed with natural astonishment in their little apartment in the Rue Meslay upon the three successive, sudden, and most unexpected catastrophes of Mercer, Danglars, and Villefort. Maximilian, who was paying them a visit, listened to their conversation, or rather was present at it, plunged in his accustomed state of apathy. Indeed, said Julie, might we not almost fancy, Emmanuel, that those people, so rich, so happy but yesterday, had forgotten in their prosperity that an evil genius like the wicked fairies in Perrault's stories who present themselves unbidden at a wedding or baptism hovered over them, and appeared all at once to revenge himself for their fatal neglect? What a dire misfortune! Said Emmanuel, thinking of Mercer and Danglars. What dreadful sufferings! Said Julie, remembering Valentine, but whom, with a delicacy natural to women, she did not name before her brother. If the Supreme Being has directed the fatal blow, said Emmanuel, it must be that he in his great goodness has perceived nothing in the past lives of these people to merit mitigation of their awful punishment. Do you not form a very rash judgment, Emmanuel? Said Julie. When my father, with a pistol in his hand, was once on the point of committing suicide, had any one then said, "This man deserves his misery," would not that person have been deceived? Yes, but your father was not allowed to fall. A being was commissioned to arrest the fatal hand of death about to descend on him. Emmanuel had scarcely uttered these words when the sound of the bell was heard, the well-known signal given by the porter that a visitor had arrived. Nearly at the same instant the door was opened and the Count of Monte Cristo appeared on the threshold.